welcome back to Share Truth Apply Scripture. I'm Jordan Chambly, and this is Wesley Wildman and Cedra Sarton, and we have just had the first half of our discussion on fulfilling the Great Commission away from home. And as Wesley said, the Great Commission is not some special sort of chore that only certain Christians are chosen for. It is a as-you-go mission. It is something that you do in life. It's a lifestyle. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so... now we talked a little bit about fulfilling the Great Commission, maybe overseas in a different country, in a completely different cultural context. Let's bring it a little closer to home. What if it's just in the next state, or in the another region of United States if you live in the United States?
Well, I think we could all, even those that listening here, could think of a place in your hometown local that is certainly a mission field. If you know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, there are those little areas, in your town that that you're not supposed to drive through or whatever.
Or locations or pool halls, or whatever.
It may be some regions. No, I can't say the regions of the U.S. But
and I think anybody listening can probably pick out which region of the country where you're from.
Yeah, exactly. We're from the
Surely
Northwest.
Not by our accent.
No, we're not. We're from the South. So I mean, talking about the South. I would say something unique about the South in the U.S. is there is a strong religious identity. Mm-hmm. There's a strong religious identity, which can be both an obstacle and an opportunity.
For the church, yes. For the society, it's always a good thing.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But for the church, it can be a challenge sometimes, but it also can be a good thing.
When it comes to mission work, when you're going to those areas, if someone were come to the South as a missionary, I don't know many of those people who do, but if someone was to come, and a way it could be an obstacle.
They could come. Let me just interrupt you because they could come for a disaster relief.
Oh,
there's all kind of other factors.
Too.
Yeah,
many times.
8 Days of Hope's come to Tupelo as a result of a tornado, so that's mission work.
No, that's good. Yeah, but there's the idea that I don't know. Just one of my observations is if you ask people in the South if they're a Christian, most of them will say yes.
Sure, yeah.
A majority will, yeah.
A majority of them will. And if you follow them home and you just kind of spy on them, which I'm not recommending you ever do.
Let's not.
Because you shouldn't do
cops.
that. They might call,
because I would.
I mean, it's just kind of a sad reality, and this is the case anywhere, but a lot of people who call themselves Christians are not. And I would say that...
or if that's at best at worst, but at best they definitely don't reflect it in their fruits.
Definitely. So that could cause an obstacle sort of for mission work, because if you're dealing with someone who says, "Oh, I've already covered all that ground and stuff," then there's really no foothold for you to get in, and you kind of have to, continually have a conversation with them to kind of get past all of that to the heart of the matter. So because that's the region of the U.S. that I live in, that's just one of my observations. I don't really know any characteristics about the Midwest or whatever, that could be an obstacle to mission work. But
you're gonna have a lot of I can't say the Midwest, but you think about Utah, you got some cults over there.
Yeah, you got some Mormonism.
Yeah, so you have some different cults
heavy influence of that. Yeah. And so, even within our own country, there's many different cultures,
right?
That have their own obstacle or opportunities. A lot of times, those are the same thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I've learned about just one thing. A family moves up north into the home. They get visits from new neighbors, and a woman comes in with her kids. And what's the first thing you do when someone comes in your house? You offer them, would you like something to drink? Would you like, whatever? Well, this woman took it as her saying, "I don't think you can take care of your own kids. Let me please feed your starving children." Type thing. Yeah. So just a cultural difference. There we have that here, but we're such a big country.
Yeah.
There's gonna be those differences in the way we perceive things.
Huh.
Go.
Okay. I wasn't really going to make any special sort of comment, but you go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, when we think about the Great Commission and we think about what it's calling us to do, which is make disciples, that comes, and we got to be a lot more creative in our ways of evangelizing and equipping the saints than we are. Like I said, it's so easy to limit that to listening to a sermon. and or taking notes or some kind. But we have to be able to pass along that which we know is truth and which we know leads to the gospel and leads to salvation. And there's all kind of creative ways. I like to just share just a couple, and then maybe y'all have some too. These have been done to me first, so these aren't my ideas, but they are great.
Not Wesley copyright.
Yeah.
Okay.
They were done to me first, and I've been able to turn around and do the same. But so one time I was in Chick-fil-A line, I had my meal paid for, and they left a note with it that said, as a demonstration of God's love for you, I wanted to pay for your meal today.
And you got Chick-fil-A.
And I got
That's
Chick-fil-A.
a great day.
Both ends. It was a double whammy. But there's that kind of creative way. And then and I have a story in Mississippi State when I was going to class, and I was just on fire for the Lord, and I just wanted somebody to ask me, about my Christianity or, an apologetic question. I'm real big into that. And a girl came up and noticed the difference between the way I was responding to certain things and how my friend was. My friend at the time, he was like a reprobate on steroids. He was just a terrible person, and in every level. From his language to the things he said, I mean, everything about it, to the way he treated it, it was awful.
Wow.
So, but I knew him from childhood, so I was trying to minister to him and we were in the classroom together. I mean, we were shoulder to shoulder working on a project. And she noticed the difference. And as I'm trying to minister to him the best I can, she noticed that I'm trying to influence him. Well, she was the one that was influenced. And she came up after the fact from a distance, and she said, now, she was from Korea.
Okay.
I'm sorry. She was from Taiwan.
Okay.
She was from Taiwan, and she came up and asked, why did you say that? And why are you acting like this? Your grade's important. And he acts like he doesn't care, basically.
Yeah.
And I was able to say, well, look, I'm a Christian, and I want to honor the Lord with, all that, that kind of thing. And over a 6-month period, we met in the lunch hallway there in front of Chick-fil-A.
Yeah.
And we did, she had all kind of questions about Christianity, apologetics, and I was able, over a period of time, get some answers, and she came to faith in Christ through that process. So I'm trying to witness to somebody else, and somebody from a distance notices that. So it can be, when I say creative, I'm talking about thinking about ways, whether it's dropping seeds. Paul says there were people that were complaining, well, I got baptized by Paul. Well, I got baptized by I know all that. They were complaining, and Paul said, look, so Apollos planted, I watered, but God's the one that makes it grow. So just being creative and finding ways to share your faith is the essence of evangelism and discipleship.
Yeah.
And I think living out your faith is the biggest way you can share wherever you might be in the world, whether you're at home or away from home. Also, find a place to plug in and do something. It can be volunteering somewhere and help. And especially if you volunteer in some areas where a lot of people come through, like maybe a soup kitchen or something, you get a lot of people that are going to come face to face with you, and they're going to see you, and they're going to see how you're different from others, and you're going to stand out to them. And so, find a place to plug in and become a part of that community. We talked earlier about becoming a part of another culture that's totally different. Well, even if you just travel to the other side of the country, you're still in the same country.
Yeah.
You speak the same language, but find a place to belong there and show them that you're wanting to be a part of them, but not do completely as they do, that you're still different.
And don't make that, for that reason, what you just said means we can't make excuses if we are not creative people, because people out there are coordinating efforts that you can get involved in. So some of us are not necessarily leaders in the sense that we can put this together.
Yeah.
But there's ministries out there that are coordinating these type of efforts, like Cedra just mentioned.
You mentioned, of course, there are different homeless shelters and places doing things all over. But then you mentioned 8 Days of Hope earlier. They're expanding their territory, and they're going all over the country wherever the need is at, and they're asking for volunteers all the time. So.
We have another coworker here who is incredibly skilled in fixing cars, pretty much.
Yeah.
And when he travels on a missionary trip, he is not a public speaker. He doesn't have that gift. He doesn't mind helping someone one-on-one in a classroom setting, but he's not a speaker. So his primary gift is serving. And so he's able to get in there and start fixing cars. And he's serving the Lord that way, and he's teaching other men what he learned. Along the way, he's doing it because he loves the Lord, and he tells them that. And so there's all kind of creative ways. But be able to share your testimony in a minute and being able to share it in 15 minutes, you know. Be able to share your testimony and be itching to do that, because don't hold in. You know, Jesus didn't hold in what, you know, or the disciples didn't hold in what Jesus had shown them or taught them, their experience of salvation. So don't hold it in. Be ready to share that.
Yeah. I mean, every Christian has a testimony, and that is like the primary tool when it comes to.
And it's not what we've done, but what God's done in us.
Exactly, and that's why it's a testimony.
Yeah, absolutely.
But also, like Cedra said, the way you living your life. One of the essential parts of fulfilling the Great Commission is making disciples. But it's going to be very difficult to make disciples if you're not living a life that's worth being discipled by.
Absolutely.
And so even if you have a great testimony, oftentimes we can find ourselves living lives that are not consistent with that testimony. And so before we look to changing the lives of other people, we need to make sure that our lives are being changed. I think primarily through the means of grace, which are, reading the Word, spending time in prayer, and spending time with other believers.
And I think we got about a minute and a half here, so I'm going to try to squeeze this in.
No,
But, one thing that's really important, too, that I learned early on, which was very helpful in my growth and perseverance, is that even Jesus Christ had a Judas.
Yeah.
So the fact of the matter is that you're going to come across people that just don't care. They either don't care or they're openly just outright rebel. They hate what you're doing.
Yeah.
One of the two. Hostile.
Yeah.
And so don't let that discourage you. As if you now always evaluate yourself. And always try to grow, but don't let a Judas Iscariot, keep you from carrying out the Great Commission.
Yeah, you have to be confident in the person who gave you the Great Commission, that he won't only give you the task and the means to do it, but also the ability to do it. And so no matter what obstacles come your way, many of which are set there by God himself to shape you and to make you grow, he will give you the ability and the means to overcome them for his glory.
Absolutely.
So thank you for listening to this week's program. Stay tuned for next week. We're going to continue this discussion on the Great Commission, but we're going to bring it closer to home. We're going to talk about sharing the gospel with family, with your community, and we hope to see you then. Thank you.